I think one of the things, unfortunately, we continue to see is conservative politicians who think that the best way to grow the economy is failed trickle-down theories. They think the best way to grow the economy is to give tax breaks and advantages to the wealthiest in the hopes that that'll grow the economy for everyone else. Well, it won't, because it never has. What we've demonstrated over the past 7 years at the federal level is by investing in the middle class and people working hard to join it, we can both grow the economy while we lift millions of people out of poverty. That's the focus we're going to continue to have. And if provinces continue to not reform or not improve their healthcare delivery services, it's no surprise that Canadians are getting more and more frustrated. That's why federal health minister is meeting with provincial health ministers in Vancouver today to talk concretely about solutions that can be delivered to help Canadians with healthcare, whether it's on health human resources, whether it's on moving forward on better data collection so we can really see where the needs are. These are the kinds of things that improve our healthcare systems. Yes, the federal government will be there with more money, but we also know the provinces have a lot of money that they could be investing in healthcare as well. It's not just about money. It's about creating a stronger, more robust healthcare systems across the country that are going to help Canadians. That's what we're focused on.
Increase federal healthcare funding both through the Canada Health Transfer and through separate tailor-made deals with individual provinces. On those separate deals with provinces, I'm wondering, should that money be distributed on a per capita basis, or do the feds recognize that some provinces are aging faster than others, putting an additional strain on the healthcare system?
These are long-standing discussions that we have been engaged in with the provinces on health and on many other issues. We know how important it is for the federal government to continue to step up to meet the needs of Canadians in regards to healthcare systems across the country. But we need to make sure that on top of just spending more money, we actually deliver more results for Canadians. That's our focus right now, and we're going to make sure that we're doing that. There are a lot of discussions to come, but it's great to see the provinces engaging substantively with the federal government on very concrete proposals on moving forward, on increasing health human resources, better access to data, and on improving health systems across the country.
Thank you so much. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, great. So how are provinces like New Brunswick supposed to keep power bills down with the need to spend on new infrastructure to replace coal-fired plants? And do the feds plan to pay to offset the difference?
We are there to partner with provinces that want to ensure positive energy futures for their citizens. We know New Brunswick is facing challenges with coal-fired plants being phased out, but that's why it's so important to be innovating, to be working with partners. We continue to be committed to the Atlantic Loop. There's a real opportunity to move forward on that. The federal government is there to be part of it, and we just need to see the provinces stepping up to put forward a plan.
Hi, Prime Minister. Hina Alam with the Canadian Press. I was wondering if you could go back to the Emergency Commission and read out of a conversation between you and Premier Ford today said that as of February 9th, you did not feel like new legal tools were needed to clear the blockade at the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor. When did your position change and why?
As we all know, the Emergencies Act inquiry is going on right now, so Canadians can see exactly what governments and people were facing back during the convoy occupations. It is an important part of the process on transparency and openness. That's why we called the Commission, because it is clear that Canadians need to know when an act like the Emergencies Act is used, that it be used responsibly and reasonably. That's why it was time limited, it was restricted, it was restrained, it was proportional, and it got the job done. Obviously, we looked at the Emergencies Act as a measure of last resort. We needed to make sure that we were trying to get things done without having to bring in extraordinary powers, as the Commission is showing.
And going to Washington, the U.S. is holding its midterms today. Do you think a Republican Congress would help temper some of the more protectionist impulses that the U.S. That we've seen from the White House in the U.S. over the last 2 years?
Canada will continue to work with the U.S. government, with U.S. Congress, on things that matter to Canadians, in creating jobs, in creating economic growth, in benefiting people on both sides of the border. We have worked through very different configurations of administrations in the past, and the friendship and the solidity of the relationship between Canada and the United States will continue regardless of whatever happens in the midterms.
Next question, CBC.
Good afternoon. This provincial government has posted provincial budget surpluses and more recently announced a tax break for higher income earners. You already sort of answered this question, but I just want to make sure I have your response. What do you think of these moves in the context of asking for more funding from the federal government for healthcare?
Let me repeat what I've said a number of times in the past. The federal government will be stepping up with more money for healthcare. I think citizens of provinces that see provincial governments saying that they don't have any more money to invest in healthcare and therefore they need money from the federal government, while at the same time they turn around and give tax breaks to the wealthiest, those citizens can ask themselves some questions. But from a federal perspective, we're going to be there with more money, but we are going to make sure that that money actually delivers the kinds of results that people here in New Brunswick and across the country actually deserve. Everybody knows that just putting more money into a broken system across the country, the way the head of the Canadian Medical Association pointed out this past summer, isn't the solution. We need to make improvements in the system, and the federal government will be there for investments. As to how the provincial government chooses to spend its money or invest people's money in tax breaks for the wealthiest, that's a question for citizens of the province to reflect on.
Follow up, and this will be the last question.
What do you plan on speaking to Mr. Higgs about later today, and what do you hope to accomplish with that meeting?
As a matter of course, I look forward to sitting down with premiers across the country, wherever I am, to be able to talk about the things we can do to grow communities together, to support people facing tough times, to create opportunities into the future, and to look for collaborations that are going to benefit folks in New Brunswick and indeed across the country. I always look forward to sitting down with premiers. I'm always looking to work collaboratively. Of course, as I pointed out, there'll be some points that I will be raising where there's disagreement, but fundamentally, we're there to work in partnership to grow the economy in ways that work for all Canadians.
Apologies, there is one last question, CTV.
Good afternoon. I'm just wondering, when you're speaking with Premier Higgs later this afternoon, will you be addressing plans to abolish the French immersion program in New Brunswick?
I will be reinforcing how important it is to stand up for official languages across this country, to protect official language minority communities wherever they are, particularly in Canada's only officially bilingual province. I will highlight that we are a federal government that will always stand up for minority language rights. We will always stand up for French and for official languages. We'll always be there to protect people's individual rights and freedoms. That's something that every premier knows they're going to get from me.